It says live on Facebook, RB.
Ganyan ba kayo magsalita live? Ha?
Right. Go.
Okay.
Going live now on Facebook. This is an emergency episode of 2OT dahil nanggulat ito si Shams Charania of The Athletic announcing that Kai Sotto will be joining the NBA G League Pro program, joining itong si Jalen Green. I'm Carlo Pamentuan, he's Magumar John. The other guy is Charles Tew. It's late, it's 10:20 p.m. pero kailangan nating mag-usap because this is huge. This is a huge development, if it is true, dito sa career ni Kai Sotto. Charles, any thoughts on it?
Well, very exciting. Caught me by surprise a bit. I thought maybe he'd train one more year and look at other options. So when I heard the news, I sent a message. He said, yeah, wait for my announcement. Yun na lang ang sabi niya. But I love Kai. He's such a great guy. So I'm very excited for him. I think he'll be able to hold his own naman dito sa G League. So I'm just hoping for the best. Hopefully he's still been able to work out there. Although mukhang sa USA, di naman sila ganun ka-strict. So tingnan natin.
So, Coach Charles, it is confirmed na naka-text mo.
Oo.
Yun nga. And ang sabi niya sa'yo, antayin yung official announcement.
Oo. Wait for his announcement.
Pero ang kutob mo, totoo na ba yung tweet? Hindi pa?
Medyo. Medyo. Doon na rin papunta.
So this is gonna be a huge move dahil yung NBA G League Pro program, bagong programa yan. This season lang i-implement ng NBA G League yan for all of these prospects dahil hindi pa nga nagkasundo na pwede nang tumalon ulit straight from high school into the NBA yung mga players. Jalen Green, yung Phil-Am, a projected top pick next year in 2021 and might have been maybe a top 5 or 8 pick this season sana kung sumali siya, is already there. Makakasama siya ni Kai doon. This is going to be huge for that young man, Kai Sotto, on his 18th birthday today.
Sino tinatanong mo?
Mo lang.
Oo nga. Gumagawa
si
na siya ng statement. Ako ba? Sorry, di ako sanay eh. Mga ka-guest
sanay
nila,
kayo
mga
kung itatanong
PJs.
eh.
Mga PJ Simon, Gary David yung nakasunod ko eh. Parang medyo mahirap. Mga
Jerwin
guests.
ka ako.
Mahiya ka.
Mahiya
Mahiya
kay Jerwin.
ka kanina. The goat of goats kiss kaninang hapon.
Pero
yun nga, no? How huge is this gonna be for Kai na nandun siya sa elite program ng G League?
I think that's always what the goal is when you're going out there in the States. Look, I honestly believe you can say, yes, you're there training full-time. Sure, that's a big difference because that's all you do. Wala ka nang pakialam sa aral mo, nag-training ka talaga. But it's the competition. The fact that he'll get to play against better, more athletic guys. I wouldn't say better, but guys who are bigger, as athletic as they can be in the world because, Americans are way more athletic than us Filipinos. I think that's a big advantage for him.
As you said, no, itong si Jalen Green, yung unang nag-announce na pupunta siya sa NBA G League in their pro program. Ikaw, did you feel na it was a possibility for Kai after seeing someone that he played against with dito sa NBTC in the past few years? Did you see that already as a possibility for Kai?
Actually, kasi di ba napag-usapan dati, Europe or US, and then sa US na napunta, and then nagkagulo, parang hindi malaman kung qualified pa ba siya as an amateur para makapag-NCAA doon and this and that. Nung ginawa ni Jalen Green to, parang suntok sa buwan na possibility na bakit hindi na lang din doon dumaan si Kai para nga makadating sa NBA. Si Jalen Green, I think all of us will agree, probably 1 year lang yan sa G League. Si Kai, hopefully 1, but maybe 2 or 3. Baka yun yung proper path because here, semi-pro ka na nga pag dito sa G League and all of the other issues are thrown out the window. Jalen Green's gonna get paid $500,000. I don't know how much Kai will get paid. So,
Coach Charles, nagre-resonate sa akin yung sinabi ni Coach Tab Baldwin before. He said na he thinks that Europe should have been the path for Kai Sotto because playing in the US NCAA, their priority is to win as many games as possible. Hindi necessarily yung training mo yung tututukan nila. How different is that from the G League? Because wala pa tayong idea. This is something that's fresh. This is something that new. Do you think na matututukan yung further improvement ni Kai in that program?
Absolutely. That's a great point. I think with the G League for sure he will get to play because he's a big name and that's why he's there. But that's probably my only concern is if they would pay enough attention to teach him the fundamentals that he needs to be taught. There are a lot of nuances in the game that may be left off in favor of just getting him out there, getting him to play. I mean, yes, the competition will be there, but it's really the little things. I mean, and some of the NBA guys that I've been fortunate enough to work with, you can really tell the difference from an NBA player and a guy who is aspiring to make it to the NBA. The NBA players for one are smarter. You can tell that they've been taught. But Kai's a smart player, which is why I think it's good for him. So to me, it's very important that for as long as he's playing here in the G League, he still needs to work on his game on his own, and hopefully he'll be guided by the right people, and they'll give him enough attention that he needs. In Europe, grabe yung training kasi sa Europe sobrang intense talaga dun. But people in his camp naman feel that, or at least some agents have been saying, the Europe now is also different from back then. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but a lot of people are saying that now they also just care about winning. It's not like they're going to develop you anymore unless you're a local from there, then that it's a homegrown player from their youth program. But if you're a foreigner out there, I mean, medyo iba rin yung pagtrato. Now, I don't know if this is true, but ito ang mga sabi-sabi rin ng ibang people in that basketball industry.
Coach Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, and Carlo too. Pagkakaintindi ko dito sa pro program ng G League, yung sasamahan daw ni Kai and nandoon na nga si Jalen Green and two other top prospects, you're not actually parang a G League player. They're going to be a team that's together working more on their skills and then playing some exhibition games every once in a while. Pero mas development talaga for their specific skill, yung skills training nila. Etong team na to yung pro program. Instead of just being yung talagang sa actual G League where winning matters too, like you said, Coach Charles. Tama ba?
But they will be playing in the G League. Actually, that I'm not sure too. But if that's the case, then I think that would be great. Because my drawback naman is if you're just training one-on-one, wala kang iba yung game shape. And that's one of the things, like when Kai first went to the States and when we had him back in the Batang Gilas right before the World Cup, he was training one-on-one, but he hadn't played any organized basketball. It was pickup games, 5-on-5 na laro-laro lang. Walang team concept. And that's very important, especially if you want to take the next level.
Ang pagkakaalam ko, meron naman daw games. Ang sabi, meron naman daw games, pero hindi parang sing dami ng games ng actual G League teams or something like that. Because it's a new program.
That's good. That's good because they definitely need game reps also, and a lot of team concepts, not just about the individual nowadays. Yeah.
One other thing we're looking at is what he can learn from the pro program in the G League and what he can learn from college. Ano naman yung mga posible na maiiwanan ni Kai by choosing not to go to college, Coach?
Well, I think when you go to a good college program taught by a good coach, it makes a world of difference. I mean, you can tell so much from an athlete, even here in the Philippines, from the type of program that they've been to. And if Kai were to go to a good school, let's say like Duke, Coach K, or any of these other big coaches, they would teach them very well. I don't care if it's 1 year, but the culture that they've built on these programs are really something else. And that's one thing that he'd probably be missing out, because in the G League, it's really a business. There's not much development. You can say the same thing for the NCAA, but I firmly believe that being under a great program can make a difference, even if you're just there for a year and a half. And that's one thing that he'd be missing out. But iba talaga eh. I mean, that whole experience playing in college ball in front of a packed gym. Well, in these times, who knows? They probably might be an empty gym. Pero no, you get what I'm saying.
Pero Coach Charles, eto may tanong sa atin si Evan Christian C. Vargas over Facebook Live. Is there going to be a problem with his education because he will be skipping college? That's another thing he'll lose.
That's for sure. That's something that he's going to have to give up. But I think we've seen a lot of players go back to their college naman some point during their careers. I think right now he's really set on his goal of making the NBA. Kai's not a dumb guy naman, which is a good thing. But I think he's going to have to make that sacrifice right now, especially if it seems like he's committed to doing this. That's probably going to mean bye-bye college. And yeah, that education part will suffer. But if you look at it also, if he was only going to play 1 or 2 years in college, well, pareho rin.
Same.
But as I said, there are certain values that you will miss being in a school, in a university, and a college team versus a professional team.
Nagulat yata yung mga nanonood sa atin na ganito kabilis yung reaction natin. So batiin natin sila, Carlo Reyes, si Alder Almo.
Oy, si Alder kinlaro na ni Alder para sa atin. They will be playing 25 exhibition games versus G League teams. Yan, sabi ni Alder.
Roy Ruiz, Bea Micalier, Waki Flores, Evan Christian, si Vargas, si Sonny De La Cruz, Glenn Erickson De Leon, Benjo Sosing, Leo Merialong Santos, Aiko David Canlas, Jonel Ruiz, Peter Baltasar, and Ray Martin Sara are all watching. Yung isa pa nating gustong klaruhin, Maguno, ano rin to breaking news din. Yung poster mo sa Facebook, nagkakalat ka na. Baka gusto mong paliwanag na hindi ikaw yon.
Hindi po ako yun. Kahit
na
sino pong Magu Marjon makita nyo sa Facebook, hindi po ako yung... Kanina ang bilis pagka-post ko sa Twitter, nag-deactivate Pag-activate mo ulit, aabangan kita. But thank you dun kay isa nagpadala sa akin nung na meron na naman daw. Pero isa pang breaking news ngayon, Bakit ang ganda ng goatee mo, Charles?
Napaikli nga, tinatry ko habulin si James Harden pero nakakakiliti sa ilong. Hirap talaga, masyado mainit, kaya umikli na. But we're trying. Kasi di ko naman alam na may mag-uusap tayo dito. So,
di rin namin alam, Charles.
Si Shams ang nanggulo. Kami pa sinisi mo. Nagulat
but it's a great topic. I like Kai a lot. In fact, I was hoping to be able to be with him just earlier this year sa tournament namin. Yun na.
I was gonna ask you, didn't you just miss out on having him on Mighty Sports a couple of months ago?
Absolutely. And I was even more excited then because I was like, this might be the only chance to be with Kai before he makes it to the NBA. Ayun nga sabi ko sa kanya, Kai, iniwan mo na ako, pupunta ka na NBA, hindi na kita mako-coach ever. Sabi niya, hindi, pwede pa yan in the future. Sabi niya, no, I don't think so. You're going
pagka naggilas coach ka,
level
coach
right now.
Pwede yan. Pag naggilas coach ka, baka magkatugma pa. Binabaan tayo ni Charles. Kita mo na ugali na itong isang to.
Bati na lang tayo si Genesis Anthony Alvarez, si Limuel Padua, Ermil Sanchez, Jonathan Cabela, Benson Ongsiaco, JCV De Guzman, Limuel Roy Niza Parico, si Francis Carion, si Sir Mau.
Pinutol niyo ako
Binaba mo kami, huy.
Saan ako naputol? Para uulitin ko.
Bumabati ako.
Nag-shoutout pa tayo kina Jacob, Osayan, Gerald Ramirez, Eugene Mariano, June Stichon. Yan, mga katutok natin, katuoti natin ngayong gabi. Ano yung kinikwento mo, Charles? Yung facial hair mo? Hindi, yung sa Mighty.
With Mighty, we were supposed to have him, diba? I was very excited nga because I felt this might be my last chance to coach Kai before he makes it big. And so yun nga sinabi ko sa niya kanina. Sabi ko, di na kita mo ko coach, iiwan mo na ako. Sabi, hindi. Mangyayari pa yun one day. But I mean, I was very excited to have him. I thought he could help our team and I really wanted to see his development. He was so excited to play for us. Sayang lang, hindi natuloy. In fact, he asked me for our playbook na nga na pinadala ko. Pinag-aaralan na niya kasi he was supposed to join our team. It's just so unfortunate that things didn't line up and we didn't get the chance to have him. But
malay mo, Charles, gilas. Baka ikaw magilas ka. Si Kai, malamang naman magigilas in the future. Malay mo ikaw. Bumalik pala. Actually, baka bumalik ka sa gilas. Gilas one assistant coach to, di ba?
Ball boy, pwede na. Actually, I was hoping na rin itong batang gilas this year, yung kasi he's in the 17 under, 18 under, birthday niya. So 18 under na may qualifier dapat this year. Mukhang wala na rin. So medyo masakit yun. But hopefully, things can work out in the...
Ang balita natin sa SBP, I think FIBA has cleared their calendars for this year. Everything's gonna happen next year na. Wala na yatang FIBA event this year. Balita natin.
But they will, but it might carry over yung age group na sila pa rin ang magko-compete
Baka
next year.
pwede pa, no?
Kasi yung sa mas bata, yung sa under 16 dapat natin na-cancel completely yun eh. Hindi na nga tayo nag-qualify by rankings, yun ang pupunta dapat sa World. So I don't know what they would have done with this one, the age group of Kai na 17 under.
Charles, if same batch gawing 19 and under yung dapat na 18 and under next year, hindi ba mas madaling makasecure ng release ngayon si Kai sa G League? Nanguhula lang tayo kesa na kung nasa college siya dahil baka may conflict?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be easier for him. And knowing Kai, he always wants to play for the national team. I mean, that's one thing he's never been shy of. So, again, Kai's like a really good kid. I have nothing bad to say about Kai. And, his development, his improvement in the short time he's been there says a lot also about his work ethic.
Coach Charles, may tanong si Alder Almo. Your thoughts on Coach Sam Mitchell, who will handle Kai and the elite team in the G League? Sam Mitchell is, of course, the 2007 Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year, yeah.
So, high caliber coach. Ano yung mga posibleng matutunan ni Kai from him?
I think from what I know, he seemed to be a guy who's also very particular in defensively, at least during his time coaching the NBA. So I think that's going to be a good help for Kai. And it's always a big advantage to work with a guy who has played in the NBA, he's an NBA vet. So that experience that they can teach and pass on to guys like Kai, Jalen Green would be a big advantage for them. I mean, there's so much you can learn from veterans, from the lifestyle, how to adjust, how to adapt, the way the game is played, the way the players think. It's really high level basketball. So I think he's a good guy. He'd be a great coach for them.
Nagulat pala sa atin si Mau na live tayo. Hindi, replay na to. Naunahan namin si Shams. Get well soon, Sir Mau.
Get well soon, Sir
si Mau
Mau.
Gerlan sa atin eh. Naunahan namin si Shams. Alam na namin to dahil si Charles kinwentohan kami kanina pang 5:30. 5:35 in the afternoon pa lang eh. Just kidding.
So, Charles, just your final thoughts on Kai. How excited are you for the future of this kid?
I'm very excited. I mean, I got the chance to coach him in the World Cup, and he more than held his own, considering he joined our team very late then. But the weaknesses in his game are basically that he was still a bit weak and slow, but I'm sure he has developed a lot. We've seen it in some highlights. I know highlights don't tell the whole story, but you can see from his movements that he's definitely bulked up. He's becoming more agile. I think playing against the competition there, athleticism, the physical strength, who are maybe higher than him, would really help him a lot. But he's held his own against guys who were playing in the Division 1 in the NCAA in the States, and he's 2 years younger than those guys, at least, and this is in the world stage. So just seeing that from him, I was very positive then. I think this is a good step. Also showing, I mean, he's raised his stock a lot in a lot of draft boards, diba? I mean, a lot of those projections. So you give him a lot of credit for that with the way he's played there. So again, I'm very excited. Kai has all the tools, and I'm really confident that if he can just stay healthy, he may be our first Filipino to make it to the NBA.
Homegrown, ano? Ako yun yung nakaka-excite eh. Binanggit ni Coach Charles eh. Because that was the 18 and under, ano? Yung huling nagbatang gila siya. And he was 16.
Yeah.
Kasi pwede mo sabihin
19 and under tong
19 and under, he was 17.
19.
Tama. 19 and under World Cup.
Yes.
Yung nakakatuwa doon, Carlo, kasi pag dito sa atin naglalaro, when he was on the UAP Juniors, this and that, pwede mong sabihin yung palagi na lang na malaki kasi, walang makapigil. But he was 2 years younger than the age bracket he played on the world stage, and he was holding his own, like what Coach Charles said. So na dun mo na ginage, kaya ngayon yung maganda sa FIBA, may mga age bracket na ganun eh. Ginage siya, dapat sa 19 and under, but he was 17, so kasama siya sa under, and he was holding his own against those 18 and 19-year-olds. So there's something bright in the future talaga for this kid.
Absolutely. I agree. And what I like about him is his attitude, Magu, Carlo. Wala talagang kayabang-yabang tong bata na to. Sobrang totoy nga. Hilig nga mag-joke sa mga players. Nakakatawa siya for a guy that big. But he's a nice guy. And that's why I'm so excited for Kai and his future.
Ang laking bagay no, Coach Charles, na walang ere because growing up, he was a head and shoulder above everybody else. And he already knew, he probably knew he had a future. But sabi mo nga, ikaw nakapag-coach eh, yeah.
Yep, he's willing to learn.
So Coach, thank you so much for joining me and Magu. Sobrang excited namin dito sa kaganapan na to. Itong si Shams kasi gabi na ng gulat pa. Kaya napa-episode tuloy tayo sa 2OT. But another thing that we have to discuss. Bawal yan ha? No, pwede ba?
Bawal ba yun? Ano yung grape juice?
Inistorbo nga natin si Charles busy.
Grape juice lang, grape juice.
Ang gusto ko rin tanong sa inyo kasi yung FIBA nag-announce kanina that the schedule of the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup is already set, no? Napag-usapan na ng Indonesia, ng Japan at ng Pilipinas. And it will be, something to look forward to at the very least, a positive that we can see a little bit down the road. Charles, I know you have a lot of thoughts on what is needed to form the squad, but how excited are you in the prospect of having a Philippine team competing in 2023?
I think it's going to be great. We've got two of, I mean, I'll go back to this last under-19 World Cup. It's, of course, the unfortunate injury of AJ Edwin, the first 2-3 minutes of the game. But 2023, we'll have those two guys. I don't know who else we'll have for sure. But having those two big men, a naturalized player, a new one, whoever it may be, and a lot of time, our home court, I think we could now really maybe win, maybe make it to the next round. I mean, an example would be like China in this recent World Cup. They were the home team. They stacked everything to their favor for them to advance. And if we played smart and form the best team that we could ever form, I think we'd have a good chance. I mean, guys like 30, guys like Kiefer, those guys, they're still young. Kobe Paras. I mean, we're going to have a lot of athleticism that I'm not sure any of our previous teams have really had. So I'm very excited for that, and to have it here in our home court, I think maybe we could actually do so. I'm not gonna say we're gonna win because obviously we're not gonna win. Baka no chance in hell ako parang si Magu, pero medyo ganun na nga. But maybe to make it to the next round, I think that might be a realistic goal. Small baby steps.
Yung gwardiya mo sa Mighty, kaya rin eh. Yung Juan Gomez Deliano.
Juan Gomez, syempre. Sigurado. I think he may have an opportunity also to play overseas. I mean, there have been some windows of opportunities that are slowly opening or were opening until this coronavirus closed it all down for our local players to maybe play overseas. So, no, who knows? It's still a lot of time, and we have a lot of talent. That's the good thing. If we are coached by the right coach and developed under the right program, which is being headed by Coach Tab, and I believe that it will. Hopefully, he can stay here and eventually be that head coach. Then I think we're in good hands.
Bago 15 months of qualifiers before we start the competitions from August 25 to September 10 in 2023. 15 months of knowing na kasali ka na dun sa 2023.
Yeah.
You won't have to qualify.
Send the youngest team.
Gaano ka-importante yun in forming the team?
Send the youngest team possible. Diba? Send everybody you want to develop. Dahil nga, we're already gonna be in it. Pero Coach Charles, yun yung isa ko pang iniisip. Of course, you're still gonna add PBA players before, maybe 6 months before the actual competition. Or gaano katagal? 1 year or 6 months? Because you're gonna send kids all over the place to play international competitions to get that experience. Pero para ma-integrate sila do sa mga gusto mo idagdag na PBA players, how early should it be na yung magiging 2023 team maging intact?
I'd say a year. I mean, if they can be practicing together maybe once, twice a week in a year, maybe play some tournaments together. Kasi that model nga yung Gilas one that I was part of. I mean, they trained for 3 years, and the biggest tournament they had 3 PBA guys for coming maybe a week before the biggest tournament. That's not gonna work. The good thing is, like, if you're saying, send them in all the tournaments, everybody has to be patient again. We have this tendency to start panicking when we send a young team and then we lose everybody. The whole Philippines is panicking. The people at the top are like, why is this happening? And that changes all the plans. We have to be rock solid with what we want. Know that, we're going to take some losses, but it doesn't matter because we're in the World Cup. And as long as you can see naman that these kids are fighting, giving their all, you can't complain, win or lose. I mean, that's what coaches teach their guys naman, diba? So, but to me, if we can have a full team integrated, like they can already select certain PBA players that they want to be part of the pool, then I think that would be a good idea. If we can get them together for a year, that would be nice.
So mauna na for 1 year yung mga bata, and then the last year, sabihin mo ng 10 months to 12 months, kailangan buong-buo na, no?
Play some tournaments together, some camps at least. That would be very helpful. I mean, CJ Perez, that guy's got to be in the team, diba? Mga ganun.
Bolick as well. Yep.
Bolick. Junmar probably still is
Junmar will be good by then. Junmar
33,
should
34.
still be good. He should just be
Yeah.
mga 34, di ba?
Yeah.
Yung
those guys.
tanong dyan, going back to the Kai Sotto discussion is, mapapanood ba natin? I mean, will we get the chance to see that that team compete? Because if you have Green there, if you have Kai Sotto there, that will be the most watched non-NBA team that the Philippines has ever had.
Yep, hopefully. I mean, nowadays with all these streaming options, ang galing natin maghanap ng mga videos. May paraan yan. Papanood natin yan. They'd be smart to show it right now, especially since this whole dynamic of our sports is changing. I think it'd be wise for them to find a way to get it broadcast here.
I'll just throw this out there bago tayo matapos, Coach Strauss and Carlo.
Okay.
If you have Kai, if you have AJ Edu, if you have Junmar on the same team, and maybe a couple more 4-5s or maybe a big 3, baka pwede ng Jordan Clarkson din yung naturalized naman.
Mm-hmm.
Di ba? Now you can go for a swing guy or a guard, di ba? If you have that kind of front line, right?
Yep, I wouldn't mind. Or get a 3-4 who's more versatile. Might be a... I was actually just thinking that right before you asked it. Ang galing mo talaga.
Ikaw, pagka pareho tayo iniisip, nakakapalakpak sa tenga ko yan, Coach Charles. Si Coach Charles Chuk pambira ka. Oh.
Isip ko ako yung magtatanong sa inyo nun pero naunahan mo.
Buti na unahan kita, hindi ko alam sagot
It's always a debate that's going to be debated. I've heard some coaches really say that no matter what, you have to get a big man. There have been coaches who say, no, we just want a role player, shot blocker, rebounder. Some coaches say, no way, you have to get a scorer. Diba? Some naman say, yeah, you can just get a wingman. That's great scoring guard, which is what Europeans do. If you notice, a lot of the teams that naturalize players that have size, they'll always get the point guard. And when I ask some foreign coaches, bakit? I mean, the point guard is the most important position in basketball. These are what some international coaches have told me. So
kita mo na, ikaw, Coach Charles, kayo-kayong mga brightest minds in basketball nagdedebate. Tapos kami ni Carlo tatanungin mo.
Natanong ko lang opinion nila kasi nga sila yung nakakaalam.
Pati nagmalinis din.
So again, just going back, we're very excited. If totoo nga yung report, again, we're not confirming anything. It was a report coming from si Shams ng The Athletic.
Pero ulitin natin. Mga late tuner, naka-text na ni Coach Charles. Ano ang mako-confirm mo, Coach Charles?
Sabi ni Kai, wait for his announcement.
Wait for his announcement.
Hindi ko na pwede sabihin ibang nasabi. Wait for his announcement. But it's probably heading there, di ba?
Na inunahan nitong si Chams because that's what he does. And
yeah.
Very excited to finally see Kai Sotto in action again. And it is a huge step up. Alam mo, magiging masakit yan for the NCAA because they are losing a lot of talented kids to this program, which will, hurt the formation of some teams in that. But if it turns out to be a good option,
it's their loss, man.
Yep. If it turns out to be a good option, this pro track in the G League, tingin nyo ba dadamdamin ng NCAA and maybe they'd finally allow the players to earn some money from their
likeness at least.
Yep.
Yeah, yung mga jerseys lang. It's gonna change. It's gonna change them. Diba?
They should.
It's
a long debate we could go talking about, but they should.
But it is a huge option for all these young kids, and we are very excited for the future, especially nung bata natin na si Kai Sotto. So, Coach Charles Steele, thank you so much for joining us in this.
Guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Coach Charles. At may mga papasalamatan din ako, Carlo. Yung kanina, yung nagtimbre sa akin ng poster account, thank you kay JV Salvador. Thank you, sirs. And if you see any other Magumar Jones on Facebook, hindi po ako yun, pakitimbre lang po. And gusto rin natin pasalamatan, Carlo, Chooks to Go, Bounty Fresh, for yung ayuda or yung tulong na binigay nila sa atin, the entire prod team, 140 people, binigyan nila ng tigli-5 manok, 700 dressed chickens from Chooks to Go. Maraming salamat po at a time like this. Napakalaking bagay po sa aming lahat yan. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po. And on that note, we end this impromptu emergency episode of 2OT. Thank you, Coach Charles. See you again next time.
Thanks, Charles.
See you. Thanks,
Tosalit.
Di na. Baka mayari pa ako.
Stop.
Okay.